Full moon in Scorpio and Taurus season energy reading.
Hey my loves, welcome back to my channel. My name is Nicole Valentine. I'm a wellness entrepreneur, lifestyle influencer, human design reader, and so much more. And on today's video, I wanted to talk about the full moon in Scorpio as well as the lunar eclipse in Taurus. We just have so much going on this lunar season, and this video is appearing to my new moon and full moon posts that I put on my Instagram account, and I basically cover so much information, including writing prompts, self-care, human design gates and transits, like oracle readings and pulls when I feel called to. So this video is super I like to make it super detailed so that you have all this information to guide you through the energy of the next 2 weeks. So Taurus season is my birthday season, and as you can tell, I love this time of year. It is like super just, it feels natural to me to be here, to be in my element, to be grounding, to be like more active, getting more sun. I just love springtime. So Taurus season is just great for celebratory occasions. And then with the full moon in Scorpio, as I've been talking about, we have celebration and also celebration after the ending of something. So you know that there's this famous quote that after the dark must come the dawn. So similarly, after a dark period in our times or a dark season, we now have springtime and we have light. And this is truly the part of nature's cycles. Like, you can't have one without the other. And I'll talk a little bit more about that when I talk about gate 27, the gate of nourishment, because it talks about weather cycles and food, the food chain, and all of those wonderful things. So this season is really much about us coming into ourselves, getting grounded, understanding that we are purpose fulfilled through matter. And I have that as my quote for this season. But purpose fulfilled through matter truly means that, like, your soul is here because it is meant to do physical tasks to now live out your soul's purpose. So purpose fulfilled through matter is very much about grounding ourselves into actions that are here to bring us to our highest selves and to actualize within this reality. So I know for me, part of that journey has been being consistent and making videos for you guys on YouTube, as well as being present and showing up for my family and like adjusting through my life cycles and my life changes. So yesterday was actually my birthday. I'm making this video a day late because I really wanted to feel into the transits. And my birthday yesterday, gate 2.3 transited our conscious sun in human design. And gate 2.3 is about beauty. It's the gate of beauty, and it's a pure yin gate, so it's pure feminine energy. But it's also very much about patience, because with beauty is this divine feminine energy, because of the fact that you can't necessarily like place when things are going to happen when it really is happening in divine time. About understanding that there is a divine mystery to life, and that is the dark feminine energy. And being in touch with that energy means understanding that sometimes we have to be patient and we have to be receptive to what life is giving us, or also sometimes be the givers and be more assertive and be more receptive to life. So I really am like so amazed by this energy, because I feel like I've been feeling all of it, and I love making these videos because for me it's a personal documentary of the transits and how they impact and affect my life. But I love hearing about how they also impact and affect your life, because again, for me it's like research into the collective consciousness. How can we learn more about each other so that we can understand each other better and realize like how the human experience might really be one experience, and like we all have different versions of that experience, but it's tapping into like the same thing. So Now let's jump into the full moon in Scorpio reading. You may see me look into my notes, and that's because I've written it out before. I write this post out for Instagram and then I make the video. I really love making the long form videos because I feel like, one, it's almost like having a friend talk to you about the current transits and energy, but two, I feel like human design is such a really deep and contemplative system as well as experience. So I want to make sure that you guys have kind of like true guidance, someone talking to you about it, and you can get like a deeper understanding of how these transits are impacting us on like multiple levels and also in an interdisciplinary way. I feel like teaching people from an interdisciplinary way is truly how the world will connect. Again, I was talking about gate 2.3, which is the gate of patience, and in line 3, the line of trial and error. That's also very much about patience, and I do feel like, again, being in tune with each other is what's going to be what brings that unification. Gate 2 is about unity. That's the city of gate 2, and it's really about unifying ourselves because we are patient and are receptive to life. So again, this wasn't about my birthday gate. This was definitely about the overall energy for the season, but because that was just yesterday, it is really still very much a strong energy. And I love to cover the third line in the human design gates, because the third line is the line of trial and error. And when you have a third line, then you also have the ability to change, to adapt, to evolve. And with Scorpio, Scorpio is very much about that. When we think of the scorpion and we think of animals that are reptilian and kind of like shed their skin, it is about rebirth, and it is about letting go of something because it's no longer needed, and kind of growing out of the old form into a new form and experience. Okay, so the full moon in Scorpio, we are going to be talking about negative self-talk and subconscious beliefs. So when we have Scorpio, we are talking about our psyche, and we are talking about integrating two sides of ourselves. Like if we have a shadow side versus our light, So now I'm going to be talking about that when it comes to our perspectives and views. So this is what I wrote for the full moon in Scorpio. It says, life is really abundant when you look around you. There is food, shelter, safety, and magic awaiting your perception. When we get present in our physical bodies by taking inspired action towards our goals, we begin to notice life flows in forward motion, guiding us towards our highest selves. Inner knowing is truly the only path to end suffering. And this can come from anywhere, anyone, any place, and at any time. Be open to the doors in front of you and try getting intimate with your 5 senses. For me, this birthday, I had the most amazing experience at this restaurant called Meteora in LA, and that's how I got in touch with my senses. I got to eat the most amazing food, got to spend time with Bae. It was just beautiful. But yeah, we love food, and in human design, open taste is our cognition. So me and my partner Jack, we both love to eat lots of different things. Variety is the spice of life. So going out to eat together, trying new foods is an amazing way to get in touch with ourselves. And again, eating really good food is a great way to nourish your body and bring healing. And I'll talk more about that with gate 27, the gate of nourishment. Nourishment is very important when it comes to healing. Seeing the world in this way can help release old patterns, bring healing at a soul level, and release emotions with self-compassion. And when we have that compassion for ourselves of oh, I forgive myself for how I acted or who I was in that past life or in those past moments of behavior, and now I am someone else, you kind of allow yourself to release the energy of having to speak against that. You notice that people who are super judgy are people who are really hard on themselves. So you really can't take it personally naturally. And if you don't want to be that way, the biggest thing is allowing yourself to make mistakes. Also trusting that other people who are making mistakes, it's not because it's personal towards you or they're meant to hurt you. It's really because they're on their own journey of self-love and self-discovery. Talk about May themes. So some themes we have for May, as I mentioned before, is release, openness, psyche, integration, promise, patience, miracles, healing. And Taurus is just all about doing the work to accomplish their goals, even though it may take time. So this is a season to really take time with all the things you're creating. For me, I knew that it was better to wait on posting this video because I really love what I do. I love putting time into it, and I want this to be contemplative, which means that you can come back anytime and watch this video and like think about the things that we're talking about for yourself, and using that to help, quiet your mind, inspire you into action to do something towards the goals that you have in mind, or to even like be in a place of more gratitude of the life you have now, because you're realizing like you do have like beautiful experiences within certain themes or gates that I'm discussing. Taurus is very much about the physical body, so another theme is the physical body. Think about how you're physically taking care of yourself. It might be a great time to book a doctor's appointment. For me, I scrubbed off all my postpartum dead skin with this Dove body scrub body polish, and it is amazing. I might actually just post it or link it below, because baby, when I tell you I put that scrub on this side of my hands and this side of my hands and this side, like I use it afterwards on this hand, but I use it on this hand first. And when I used it on this hand, I noticed that this hand like held water for like 5 to 10 minutes longer than this hand. All the water that I was putting on it was just like beating off and falling off. So I absolutely love this product. I'm a really big fan of brands that have like really long standing. I'm 32 years old, and Gate 32 is all about duration. It's about long lasting things being built to last, and I'm all about that as I'm building a brand that I want to last. So I love being an advocate and a user of products that have been good to the body and have shown over the course of time that it's been good for a lot of people. So Dove body polish, I'm gonna put it in my Amazon shop. Baby, that got my skin super glowy for my birthday. Side note. So the next thing I'm going to talk about is getting grounded, and this is super important because it is a really easy to get your head in the clouds when you have a lot of amazing things happening in your life. Again, this is my birthday season, and also just springtime tends to be a time we can have our head in the clouds. So really be mindful of that. Tune into your energy, drop into your body, do something physical like yoga, get moving, go on a hike, get into nature, and really like feel what it's like to be present and feel what it's like to be engaged and connected with something that you truly love. So now let's talk about some Taurus season self-care. And this goes for all signs and aura types. If you are a human design watcher, this goes for projectors, generators, manifestors, manifesting generators, and reflectors. Take a ceramics class. I really love getting my hands dirty. I'm a Taurus. I love like playing with clay and getting my hands like into the dirt. I think it's really great for grounding. So I highly recommend taking a ceramics class this Taurus season. Try a new body scrub or make one. I'm going to tell you guys about that Dove body polish. Educate yourself on cannabis. So this is really like, I'm going to talk more about this when I talk about the human design gates probably, but I really feel like a lot of people who enjoy cannabis or smoke cannabis, they are affected by the stigma. And that I know for myself, as someone who feels like I use it and I use it responsibly, I feel like I have been judging myself so hard for the fact that I enjoy it, and the stigma of it itself is actually keeping me from enjoying it the way I used to. And I really want to destigmatize cannabis, and I feel like a way we do that is sharing our experiences with it. For me, it's been very spiritual and it's been connecting me to the earth. It's also been showing me any subconscious fears. I do feel like you have to be in a container where you can understand what those fears are, or even be at a level of self-awareness where you can process these things on your own, because that integration period can be very difficult if you are not someone with a toolkit of meditation, yoga, mindfulness practices. So again, learning about cannabis, especially if you are someone who likes to enjoy it, is great, but also maybe choosing healthier forms or ways of using cannabis this Taurus season would be great. Taurus rules the throat, so if you think about it, it may be better to try other ways like edibles instead of smoking to help protect our throat. Even in this video, I've noticed that I've been a little dry, so drinking water, hydrating yourself if you are going to be consuming is super important. Another Taurus self-care is next self-care tip is travel or move to a new country. I follow this YouTuber, Lynette Atkins. She's super dope. She literally just talked about how she picked up and moved to Thailand, and I was like, girl, more power to you. I actually felt like I had a Thailand themed birthday because I had a banana chai birthday cake, but also my masseuse was from Thailand, so I was like, this is bomb. And then the restaurant we went to also had like just like globally inspired dishes or cuisine. So with that, I really was like, yes, I'm all about just like having that cultural experience and being in a state of wanderlust for spring and for Taurus season. So I say, go to a new country or book a flight somewhere. Even if it's not a new country, do something that's local that also can give you the experience that you are somewhere else. And my last Taurus self-care season tip is to make a home-cooked meal. I really think it's important, especially in the springtime when we have allergies and like our bodies are just adjusting to different seasons, different things. It's really important to cook and nourish yourselves. Cooking at home when you're used to eating out a lot would be really good. So I recommend for this Taurus season, a tip for self-care is just like finding an easy recipe. Maybe I'll put one below, and like make yourself something yummy, comforting, and good for you. Now let's talk about some writing prompts for Taurus season and the Scorpio full moon. What areas of my life need attention and care? And this is really important because, again, Taurus season is about the physical body. Scorpio is about thinking about your fears and overcoming them. It's also about shedding your old skin, the old belief systems, the old patterns, and really stepping into the person you're meant to be, and or just who you're transforming to into this new season of your life. What is the difference between self-care and self-soothing? This is super important because it's really easy to fall into maladaptive self-soothing practices, or just overly self-soothe instead of self-care, which is more positive practices that we put into place that help us take care of ourselves. For example, self-care looks like taking a shower. Self-soothing looks like staying in bed all day because you don't want to deal with life. Two very different things. Both can serve a purpose. Not one is more worse than the other or good, whatever. But it would be important to look at how long you're spending time doing this and what is your reason. And also, how are we going to create a solution for how we're feeling? Next is, what awareness am I operating from? And awareness means conditioning. So I'm talking about what conditioning or what behavioral patterns have I been taught from society, from my parents, etc., that I might be continuing and that is affecting now how I view the world. Lastly, how can I nurture my environment through my physical body? So we can nourish our physical bodies by choosing to hydrate, by going in the sun, by connecting our bodies with nature, realizing we are actually one with this planet. So I do things like grounding or earthing our feet, walking in dirt. I recently took my daughter to the Bronson Caves, and we were like hanging by the water, playing by the stream, just connecting with the earth, because This is so important. Like, it's a symbiotic relationship. Like, just like the plants beautify and like connect with us or allow us to touch them, we can also like connect with them in that way. So as you guys can see, the angle has switched up. My camera is full, the memory card is full, so I'm gonna just record the rest of this video here. Now we've talked about so much about the Taurus themes. We've talked self-care prompts. At this point, I want to talk to you guys about the human design gates and transits. We are now moving into the human design quarter of civilization, which is very much about being receptive to life. It's very much about opening and establishing communication and ways in which humanity can better communicate and connect with one another. So this is so much about connecting the arts, sciences, technology, music, and really figuring out what is keeping us together, what is uniting us and bringing us together as a species, also what is connecting us to other species. So gate 2 transits through the first into the second week of May, and gate 2 is very much about the driver, the direction our souls is going, for purpose, for a sense of understanding, for a sense of finding our deeper meaning to life. So now let's talk about human design gate 24, which is the gate of returning. So the gate of returning in I Ching is very much about the energy to come back to oneself. And this is very much the energy to rationalize, because to rationalize is to have kind of like a mental gap and then come back to a place of reasoning. So how do we reason with ourselves? What do we choose to put our focus and attention to on? And when do we decide to end the mental chatter? Gate 24 is definitely talking about mental chatter because it is about rationalization. We find that when we do not find a moment of peace with our thoughts or our answers that we've come up with, we then can now lead to a state of addiction. And this is why I wanted to talk about negative self-talk. This is something that we'll be experiencing in the full moon in Scorpio. It's going to bring a lot of healing to our negative self-talk and our imposter syndrome and also limiting beliefs, because the reality is there are going to be some things in life we know. There are going to be some things in life we don't know, and there's going to be also things that we will never know. And when we understand those three things, it can help make our thoughts very rational. So that's why the gate 24 is so much about how we take care of ourselves and really how we take care of our mind, because how we nurture our mind is really going to affect our thoughts, and that's how we're going to see our world. Also, the city of gate 24 is silence. Can we allow ourselves to silence our mind and take a moment between those spaces where we are confused or conflicted to maybe give ourselves spaciousness, enough spaciousness to come to a place of clarity? Or are we addicted to correcting ourselves? Are we addicted to self-improvement as a theme for this season? It's really, really important to understand what addiction is, because addiction is the shadow of gate 24. Addiction can be so much about wanting to find the answers to what there is no answer for. The Gene Keys, a great book. Sometimes I go to this book to reference a lot of the gates. As you can see, it's very beat up because I'm in a ritual with this. I am in my own spiral, as you can see with this book. I take it to my car, I read, I contemplate on it, and then I create these videos because I do feel like the information here is so powerful. I don't want to call it my Bible because I do feel like the Bible is also a very powerful book, but it's very biblical in the sense that it feels very whole in the way that it's written, and you can literally give this book to someone, and I feel like just through reading this, their consciousness could transform. And I think anything that does that is powerful, is spiritual. So I highly recommend the Gene Keys. This book is always linked in my human design books on my Amazon shop. That's my idealist, the human design idealist of books that I love. So Richard Rudd, thank you so much for making this book, because it's changing a lot of lives and a lot of belief systems out here. I really do feel like seeing interdisciplinary works of art created is helping us see that, wow, like all of this information is shown through music, through art, through so much. It's not just spiritual, it's scientific, it's mythical, it's all these things. It's esoteric. Yes. So gate 24 is the gate of invention, and I really want to talk about the gift of invention. So the gift of this gate is the gift of invention, and I really want to talk about that because I'm going to explain my whole journey with cannabis through the eyes of gate 24. So there are periods where I can feel like, am I in an addictive pattern with this? Am I just doing this because I'm in a habitual way of using it? Or is it because I'm looking to gain invention in my thoughts, or I'm tapping into some type of creative element within myself? So that's when I started becoming more intentional about my cannabis use, and also I started to get more creative in destigmatizing it. I realized that when I sat with my thoughts truly and didn't get caught up in the fear of them, which I realized was a fear of, I was so afraid of being addicted that I got caught up in the idea that, like, maybe what I'm doing is wrong, and like of the stigma itself of it, because I was so caught up in, I felt my mom's judgment about it. I felt other things about it. But then I also had to be real about myself. Like, even while making this video, my voice has gotten hoarse multiple times. So did I smoke today? Yes. Did I drink enough water? No. So I'm going to be very real about that. That yes, if you are making your self-soothing habits prioritize over your self-care habits, then yes, that is a state of shadow, and that is something that to be looked at. But I also have a very positive relationship with the herb, and part of that has been being very meditative with it. I tend to pair it with reading my books, with meditating, with yoga, things, activities that are self-care for me. So with that, today 10 is happened to be a one-off in the sense that I'm very self-aware about the fact that I hadn't had it. I haven't had as much water, and also part of that is because my partner went out to get water at this moment, so we just haven't had enough water in the house. But that awareness is how I know, okay, you actually are using this in a positive way. Because if I was like, no, I'm going to avoid or ignore that, now you're kind of living in the shadow of addiction, because you're not allowing your mind to process, or you're avoiding your awareness, and now you're escaping. You're looking to find an answer in the thing that you're doing instead of looking to find the answers within yourself, which is like the main thing. I think cannabis could be a very helpful tool for self-discovery, for raising your consciousness, for being a more empathetic person and understanding person, and also for getting over imposter syndrome. A lot of musicians, artists, creatives in the last 20, 30, 40, 50 years and longer, this has been used as a medicinal herb for thousands of years throughout society and humanity. Why is it that we should feel judged for using it, especially if we're using it for creativity? They talk about Billie Holiday used a lot of cannabis. She also like drank and things like that too. She was highly creative, and she's left things for us that are now impacting our world. And I'll probably put a clip of Strange Fruit of the song here, because it's just so beautiful. And I do feel like having the courage to step up and do that, a lot of that probably plays into her relationship with cannabis and the relationship our ancestors had with plant medicine. I'm West Indian, so I am a descendant of Bob Marley, in the sense that we both come from the same country. I don't know if I'm a relative of his, but if someone wants to check 23andMe, I don't think so. But our family grew up in the same area, and this was very much about how he felt that he was kind of advocating for mental release, for people thinking for themselves, for us understanding, processing, integrating, and tapping into our shadow sides and seeing the beauty of the world. Because I do feel like growing up in a household where I grew up Jehovah's Witness, that I did have a lot of shame when it came to cannabis, or like, you know, just doing things that were wrong or things that were outside of the rules. So I never thought that I would be a person who would be such a big advocate of it. And I'm learning that part of it is having to gain acceptance and also reinventing what cannabis is, what herbalism is, what spirituality is, and really choosing to come into my own understanding, creating my own rules, and understanding that life is truly an experience. Like for me, I personally want to show people that you can have a healthy relationship with cannabis. You can use it to help heal your body, your mind, your spirit, gain a better understanding of others and yourself, without it necessarily having to be a negative thing. And part of that has been my personal journey through reinventing my relationship with it and understanding that I have to nurture myself in order to truly consume with pleasure, but then also to get over the shame of what society has told me about it and what that conditioning is. And part of it is not falling into addictive patterns, because again, it's really easy to judge myself, right? If I'm acting addictive with it, or if I'm not taking care of myself and I'm using it. We definitely judge people that look like stoners or are considered potheads compared to people who we feel like come off clean cut and, you know, just like look put together, right? I want to show that you can do both, and I do feel like it can be done. And a lot of the people that we admire that are celebrities do that. They just are super, super private about their cannabis use. But I do feel like, again, a big part of destigmatizing it and reinventing what it can look like in our modern day society has to do with sharing our stories about it. So I hope my discussion about cannabis has also helped you understand Gate 24, in the sense that the gate very much talks about mental chatter and are we trying to run away from ourselves through finding answers through substances or anything that could be addictive? The news could be addictive. OCD behaviors, you could get addicted to cleaning. That could be very addictive. So you do have to be mindful of any habit that is addictive, that's not positive, that's keeping you from your personal goals or even like your personal self-actualization, then yes, definitely reconsider them. Also, know that we grow into different people at different stages in our life. So at any point in your life, you may become or do something that you never thought you would do. And it's all part of our experience. It's all part of kind of the Maya, as in the mechanics of the material plane, playing itself out. So trust yourself. Also, learn what addictive behaviors are. Learn your family history. Also, know how your body feels. Staying very much in tune and nurturing yourself when you are using substances that can possibly be mind altering, or that are just like different than what you're used to taking or ingesting in your body. So these are things to think about when you are reflecting on Gate 24. And I really hope that my chatty self-projected projector understanding of it and experience has been able to help you. I just really love seeing the world through the lens of human design, because it makes so many things make sense on like a really deep level and interdisciplinary level. Also, I love ending the gates on the positive note and on the city, or I wouldn't even say positive, but on the city, which is the highest expression of that gate. And Gate 24, the highest expression of that is silence. So I ask that if you're watching this video and you really enjoyed listening to Gate 24, you have this gate in your own gene keys, that you take a moment to be silent and just listen within the gaps. Understand that even within music, we have the notes and then we have the space in between. And it's in those spaces that actually make the music just as much as the notes make the music. So what makes life super ecstatic or super delightful sometimes is those lower or more saddening moments that we may experience, but know that those moments are also part of the music that is our lives. So if you like this video, I highly recommend watching my other Human Design Gates videos. I also will link them here so that you can see, or down below. I really love the Human Design Gates contemplation because the Human Design 64 gates cover 64 life themes, and these life themes are reflected in the I Ching, which is an ancient divination tool that really can help us show the way the wheel of the world works, or the wheel of life works. So if you also love this video, I highly recommend subscribing to this channel to see more human design reflections, as well as esoteric and spiritual reflections, and also booking a reading with me. I'm a human design reader, and I read charts in a very esoteric but practical way. So if that is something that you're interested in and you want to hear from a projector guide, then I highly recommend booking a one-on-one reading with me. And if you're in the Los Angeles area, I do also have VIP readings. These readings are vetted, so I'm very mindful of who I meet up in person with and share my energy with. And they are, a special ticket because they're high value. If you love this video or love these types of conversations, then I have tons of offerings and services that will fit your needs. I really just want to see people see life from a spiritual way and understand that this life can be as magical, as mystical, and as spiritual as you want it to be, as you deem it to be or see it to be. So I love you guys, and I'll see you in the next video.
If you made it this far, hit the notification bell and stay in touch.